Good morning, Aggies and Buckeyes. Today is Tuesday, April 21st. I hope you're all doing well, you're staying safe, and you're staying healthy. This morning, we're going to be reading a story called Stephanie Kwolak. Now, Stephanie is an inventor that we'll be reading about this morning. Now, as we read, I want you to think about some of the main ideas that are happening in the text, along with the key details that focus on that main idea. At the end of this story, we are going to be summarizing the events that happened in the story. Let's get started.
If you could invent a material for a superhero, what would it be like? It would have to be light, strong, bullet-resistant, and fireproof, right? Chemist Stephanie Kwolak actually invented a material just like this. It's called Kevlar. Superheroes don't wear it, but everyday heroes like police officers and firefighters do. Becoming a chemist. From the time she was young, Stephanie was interested in math and science. She was not the kind of student who caused mischief, and she worked hard in school. Stephanie's teachers spotted her talent and talked to her about careers in science. With their encouragement, Stephanie studied chemistry in college. She had hoped to go on to medical school, but could not afford it. Consequently, Stephanie took a job working at a textile lab. She planned to save up enough money for her job so that she could pay for medical school. At the lab, she discovered that she had a genuine love of chemistry. She learned how to make chain-like molecules called polymers that could be spun into fabrics and plastics. Stephanie enjoyed doing experiments so much that she decided not to go to medical school. Kevlar is used in protective vests for police and police dogs.
Now remember, as you listen, you should be able to summarize what you read. And a summary has to do with putting a text into your own words, telling the main ideas and the key details. But don't worry, once the story is over, I will clearly go over what it means to summarize.
A strange liquid. In 1964, Stephanie's lab supervisor asked her to work on making a strong, stiff fiber. The United States was facing a possible gas shortage, and scientists wanted to help. They believed that if you could reinforce tires with a lightweight fiber rather than heavy steel wire, cars and airplanes would use less gasoline. Stephanie began experimenting by mixing polymers. One day, she made an unusual solution, or mixture. Polymer solutions are often thick like molasses. However, this solution was cloudy and watery. Stephanie brought her strange liquid to the worker in charge of spinning liquids into fibers. He looked at Stephanie's solution and laughed. He thought it was hilarious that she believed it could be made into fiber. It looked too much like water and might even clog the spinning machine. But Stephanie kept urging him to spin it until he finally agreed. When he followed the procedure, a strong fiber began to form. Stephanie's head spun and she felt dizzy with excitement. A timeline of achievements. 1923. Born in New Kensington, Pennsylvania. 1946. Earned a degree in chemistry from Carnegie Mellon University. 1964. Discovered the fibers for Kevlar. 1971. Kevlar first marketed. 1995. Inducted into the Inventors Hall of Fame. Kevlar is used in cars such as this solar racing car.
Now remember, if at any time the story is going too fast, hit the pause button so you can practice summarizing.
Stronger than steel. Stephanie tested the fiber in the lab and found that it was fireproof. It was stronger and lighter than steel, too. With these qualities, she believed that the fiber could be turned into a useful material. She was right. The material became known as Kevlar. After Stephanie's discovery, it took almost a decade of teamwork to develop Kevlar. Some people spent hours on the telephone with the patent office. Others had to think of ways to use and sell it. Nowadays, Kevlar is used by almost everyone. The president and other politicians wear protective clothing made from it. So do lumberjacks, firefighters, and police officers. Kevlar is also used in tires, bicycles, spacecraft, and skis. By developing Kevlar, Stephanie had found a way to make protective clothing and equipment that is both light and strong. Stephanie's invention has saved many lives over the years. She was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame for her work, and her photograph has appeared on a book cover and in advertisements for Kevlar. She says that she never expected to be an inventor, but is delighted that her work has helped so many people. Firefighters wear suits made from Kevlar.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and take a look at what it really means to summarize. Now, in case you didn't know what it means to summarize, here is your goal for today. At the end of the lesson, you will be able to summarize a text by identifying the main idea and the key details. Now, to summarize, that means you're going to retell only the most important details in a paragraph or a section. Now, we've talked about this in class before. In lots of texts, they give us a ton of information. And although that ton of information is good to know, it's not always the most important details that we need to understand the meaning of the text. So when we are summarizing, we're only going to pick out the most important details in whatever it is that we're reading. So as you read, you should be thinking of only the most important things. Now, I always tell you guys, when you summarize, you're saving me time, so I don't have to go back and read the article or the text or the story. So keep that in mind when you're trying to summarize. You are trying to create a summary in your own words so your teachers or your parents don't have to read it. You're being a time saver by giving them only the most important things that they need to know. Now, here's the hint for summarizing. You're only identifying the key details, and the extra hint here is you have to retell them in your own words. So when I ask you to practice summarizing, I don't want you to go in and type exactly what you read on the paper, or I don't want you to read it to me word for word. I want you to put it into your own words. Hopefully that makes sense, because that is super important when you're summarizing. You have to make sure that you're putting it into your own words. Now, let's get into some examples. So on this chart, you're going to see the context. That means the part of the story that I want you to go back to. And the part of the story for our first example that we're going to go back to is called Becoming a Chemist, paragraph 1. You and I are going to read Becoming a Chemist together, paragraph 1, one more time, and then we're going to pick the key details out, main idea, and we're going to put it into a summary in our own words. You got it. Let's try it out together. Now, we're going to read Becoming a Chemist, paragraph 1. Here it is right here, Becoming a Chemist. Remember, those headings, they tell you what you're going to be reading about. So we obviously are going to read about how Stephanie became a chemist. Let's look at paragraph 1. Remember, I want you only to be thinking about the key details that are popping up in the text. Becoming a chemist. From the time she was young, Stephanie was interested in math and science. She was not the kind of student who caused mischief. And remember, mischief is causing trouble, so she didn't cause trouble when she was in school. And she worked hard in school. Stephanie's teachers spotted her talent and talked to her about careers in science. With their encouragement, Stephanie studied chemistry in college. She had hoped to go on to medical school, but could not afford it. Now, hit the pause button right now. Take a couple minutes to think about only the important things that are in there. Because although there's really great information in there about Stephanie, I, as another person, don't necessarily need to know everything that's in there. Hit pause right now and pick out those important details. When you're ready, you can hit play again and we'll fill in our chart together. All right, let's fill in our chart for Becoming a Chemist, paragraph 1. Now, although everything in that paragraph was important, I'm only going to pick out a few of the key details that were in there. And the things that stuck out in my mind is that at a very young age, Stephanie was very interested in math and science. So that probably would be something that I would put into my summary. And I also would probably put that she studied chemistry in college. Now, those are two very important details that happened in that text. So we're going to fill them in right now. At a young age, Stephanie was interested in math and science. She decided that she wanted to go to college and study chemistry. Now, let me go back to the text. If you notice in paragraph 1, I didn't use every word in there. Although I did use these ideas that she was interested in math and science, I left out the part where she didn't cause mischief and she worked hard. I left that out because that's not super important for my summary. I did, however, include that she studied chemistry in college and she wanted to go. Oh, I didn't include medical school. I think I'm going to put that in there also. So let's head back to our document and let's put that in there. So she decided that she wanted to go to college and study chemistry. And she also wanted to go to medical school. So that's the cool part about a summary. You can go back, reread the text, and pick out maybe some more important information that you may have missed. Now let's quickly look at paragraph 2 in Becoming a Chemist, and let's write a short little summary. Here we go. Here's paragraph 2. Consequently, Stephanie took a job working at a textile lab. Now, she most likely took that job, boys and girls, because remember in paragraph 1, she couldn't afford to go to medical school. She planned to save up enough money from her job so that she could pay for medical school. At the lab, she discovered that she had a genuine love for chemistry. She learned how to make chain-like molecules called polymers that could be spun into fabrics and plastics. Let's head back over to our document and let's put in our summary. Now, you should have heard that yes, she did get a job to go to medical school. So right off the bat, I want to include that. Stephanie attended medical school. And another important thing that she did was, remember, she created polymers. Now, out of all of that information that I read, those were the two most important things that I, as the reader, have to know. So there's your two examples of how to summarize. You're going to head over to practice your turn now on Google Classroom. The assignment's going to be titled Unit 5, Week 2, Summarize. And here's what it looks really quickly. Here's what it's going to look like. Directions. Complete the chart by filling in your summary using the context paragraphs. Remember to use your own words while using the main idea and key details in the paragraph. So here's the context paragraphs. They're pictures straight out from the book, and you are going to put them in your own words. Remember, please do not copy straight from the text. Put it into your own words. Head over to Google Classroom now to complete Unit 5, Week 3, Summarize.